My SIL said she's glad my baby died. My husband Barry and I had been waiting for the perfect moment to tell his family we were having a baby, and his parents' anniversary dinner felt right. I squeezed his hand under the table and he nodded, so I took a breath and said, "We have some news. I'm pregnant." His mother screamed with joy. His father stood up to hug Barry, and Mandy, his sister, scowled and glared at me so hard I thought she was trying to explode me with her mind. "Some women aren't meant to be mothers," she said loud enough for our happy moment to die. When we made eye contact, she smiled, "Especially women who trap men with babies because they have nothing else to offer." The awkward tension filled the room. Barry's father sat back down slowly, and his mother's smile vanished. Honestly, a slap would have been kinder than her words. "Apologize to my wife right now," Barry said angrily. Mandy stood up so fast her chair scraped against the floor. "Apologize? To her?" She pointed at me like I was garbage someone had dragged in. "She's been in this family for 2 years. I've been here my whole life. And now she thinks she can just waltz in and take everything?" Her voice was getting louder with every word. "You don't deserve this baby. You don't deserve Barry. You don't deserve any of it." Barry slammed his hand on the table. "Get out." Mandy laughed, this horrible bitter sound that made me want to prepare for the worst. "Gladly. But remember this moment, Prue." She leaned across the table toward me, and her eyes were ice. "You took something from me, and I don't forget." She grabbed her purse and stormed out. His mother grabbed my arm before I could process what just happened and pulled me into the kitchen. "You have to understand her," she whispered. "Mandy has been trying to get pregnant for 3 years. She wanted to be the one to give us our first grandchild." I stared at her, waiting for the part where she acknowledged her daughter had just threatened me at my own pregnancy announcement. That part never came. "Just give her time to adjust," his mother said, patting my arm like I was the one who needed comforting. Barry found me in the kitchen a few minutes later and wrapped his arms around me. "She's not okay." I saw it too. That was reassuring that this behavior wasn't actually normal. And the way Mandy had looked at me before she left told me everything I needed to know. This woman didn't just hate me. She wanted to destroy me. And Barry was the only one who knew it too. But having my husband on my side wasn't going to be enough to stop what was coming. Because Mandy was just getting started. And what she did at my doctor's appointment proved this woman wasn't just jealous. She was completely unhinged. For the next 2 weeks, I tried to focus on the good. Barry and I went to baby stores and debated crib colors. We talked about names late at night while lying in bed. He'd rest his hand on my stomach even though there was nothing to feel yet and whisper, "I can't wait to meet you," to my belly button. Those moments made me feel like everything would be okay. Like Mandy was just a temporary storm we'd weather and move past. I should have known better. My 12-week appointment came and Barry couldn't make it because of work. I had just finished changing into the paper gown and was waiting for the ultrasound tech. The door opened and I looked up expecting to see someone in scrubs. Instead, I saw Mandy. She walked in like she owned the place. Designer purse on her arm, smile stretched across her face like we were old friends meeting for lunch. "Surprise," she said. "I thought I'd come support you since Barry couldn't make it." Every alarm in my body went off at once. "How did you know I had an appointment today?" I asked. "Mom told me. She thought it would be nice if someone from the family was here." She sat down in the chair next to the exam table and crossed her legs. "Isn't this exciting? Our first look at the little one." "Our." She said our. I opened my mouth to tell her to leave, but the ultrasound tech walked in before I could get the words out. She was a cheerful woman with gray hair and kind eyes who introduced herself as Rose. "All right, Mama, let's take a look at your baby," she said, squeezing the cold gel onto my stomach. Mandy scooted her chair closer. "Actually," Mandy said, and her voice had changed to something sweet and concerned, "I need to tell you something important. I'm the real mother." Rose stopped moving the wand. She looked at Mandy, then at me, then back at Mandy. "I'm sorry, what?" "She's my surrogate," Mandy continued, not missing a beat. "We don't like to advertise it because of the stigma, but I want to make sure my baby is healthy. Can you tell me everything you're seeing?" I felt like I was having an out-of-body experience. This woman was sitting in my doctor's appointment claiming my baby was hers. "That's not true," I said, and my voice came out shakier than I wanted. "She's my sister-in-law. She's not supposed to be here. I need her to leave." Rose looked between us again, clearly unsure what to do. Mandy put her hand on Rose's arm. "She gets confused sometimes. The hormones, you know? I'm sure you've seen it before. Surrogates can get very attached." "I am not a surrogate." I sat up on the table, gel smearing everywhere. "This is my baby, mine and my husband's. She showed up uninvited and she needs to leave right now." Mandy's sweet expression changed, and I was able to see that same cold hatred from the dinner table all over her face before she covered it back up again. "See what I mean?" she said to Rose. "So emotional, so unstable. Are we sure she should even be carrying a child in this state?" Rose stood up and took a step back. "I'm going to get the office manager," she said, and practically ran out of the room. The second the door closed, Mandy dropped the act completely. "You think you're so special," she hissed at me. "Walking around with your little bump like you accomplished something. You didn't accomplish anything. You got lucky. That's all." "Get out," I said. "Or what? You'll call Barry?" Go ahead. Call him. Tell him his crazy sister showed up at your appointment. See how long it takes before everyone realizes you're the problem, not me." The office manager appeared with Rose and a security guard. Mandy played confused and hurt, saying she was just trying to support her sister-in-law and didn't understand why everyone was being so hostile. But they escorted her out anyway, and I sat there shaking while Rose apologized over and over and finished the ultrasound in uncomfortable silence. I called Barry the second I got to my car and told him everything. He was furious. He called his mother immediately and demanded to know why she'd told Mandy about my appointment. Her dumb response? She just wanted to be involved. You're shutting her out of everything and it's breaking her heart. Breaking her heart. Mandy had just tried to claim my baby as her own in front of medical professionals, and his mother was worried about breaking her heart. But it got worse. 2 days later, Barry's mother showed up at our house unannounced. I opened the door and she pushed past me without waiting to be invited in. "We need to talk about your prenatal care," she said, settling herself on my couch like she planned to stay a while. I stood there holding the door open. "Excuse me?" "Mandy told me you've been skipping appointments, not taking your vitamins, eating fast food constantly." She shook her head. "I raised 2 healthy children. I know what a pregnant woman needs to be doing, and from what I'm hearing, you're not doing it." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. "Mandy told you that? Mandy, who showed up at my appointment and told the ultrasound tech she was the real mother? That Mandy?" His mother waved her hand dismissively. "She was trying to be supportive. You took it the wrong way." "I took it the wrong way?" "She claimed my baby was hers. She was confused about how to help." "You're so defensive all the time, Prue. It makes it very hard for anyone to get close to you." Barry came downstairs then, having heard the commotion. He took one look at his mother's face and mine and said, "What's going on?" His mother started in about the prenatal care concerns and the vitamins and the fast food. Barry listened for about 30 seconds before cutting her off. "Mom, stop. Everything you just said is a lie. Prue hasn't missed a single appointment. I watch her take her vitamins every morning, and she hasn't eaten fast food in months because it makes her nauseous." His mother's face tightened. "Mandy said—" "Mandy is lying," Barry said flatly. "She's been lying about Prue since the day we announced the pregnancy, and I'm done listening to it. You need to leave." His mother looked like he'd slapped her. "Barry, I'm your mother. And Prue is my wife. She's carrying our child. And your daughter is trying to destroy her." He opened the front door. "We'll talk when you're ready to see what's actually happening. Until then, I think you should go." She left without another word, but the look she gave me on her way out told me exactly who she blamed for this. Not Mandy. Me. The following Sunday was his father's birthday dinner. Barry didn't want to go, but I convinced him we should try to keep the peace. Maybe seeing us together, seeing how happy we were, would help his mother understand. Maybe Mandy would behave in a more public setting. I was wrong on both counts. We were seated at a long table at his parents' favorite restaurant. Mandy sat directly across from me, which I thought was bad enough. She spent the first half of dinner making passive-aggressive comments about women who steal things that don't belong to them, and people who don't appreciate family. I ignored every single one. I was not going to give her the satisfaction of a reaction. Then the main course came. I was reaching for my water glass when Mandy stood up to grab a dish from the center of the table. She stretched across toward me and her elbow connected with my stomach. Hard. Not a brush. Not an accident. A direct, forceful blow right to my belly. I doubled over, gasping. The pain radiated through my whole midsection, and my first thought was, the baby. Is the baby okay? Did she hurt the baby? Oops, Mandy said, and her voice was pure sugar. I'm so clumsy. Are you all right? I looked up at her through watering eyes and saw it. The smirk, the satisfaction. She'd done it on purpose, and she wanted me to know. I need to go to the bathroom, I managed to say, and I practically ran to check for bleeding. There wasn't any, thank God, but my hands wouldn't stop shaking. When I came back to the table, Barry was arguing with his mother in hushed tones. His father was staring at his plate. Mandy was calmly eating her dinner like nothing had happened. It was an accident, his mother was saying. You're overreacting. She hit my pregnant wife in the stomach, Barry said through clenched teeth. I saw her do it. You saw her reach for a dish and accidentally bump Prue. There's a difference. I sat back down and Barry grabbed my hand. Are you okay? He asked quietly. Is the baby okay? I think so. I didn't see any blood. His jaw tightened. He stood up and threw his napkin on the table. We're leaving. His father finally spoke. Barry, it's my birthday. Then you should have raised a daughter who doesn't assault pregnant women at dinner. He pulled me up and put his arm around me protectively. Mandy is not welcome anywhere near my wife again. Not at family dinners, not at holidays, not at the hospital when this baby is born. Nowhere. Mandy laughed. That same bitter, horrible laugh from the announcement dinner. You can't keep me away forever, she said. She can't hide behind you for the rest of her life. Barry looked at his sister like he was seeing her clearly for the first time. Watch me, he said. And we walked out. I felt so much relief knowing Mandy was banned from coming anywhere near me. I knew Barry would keep me safe no matter what. But then Barry said he had a work trip he couldn't cancel. He'd be gone for 3 days and I'd be home alone and unprotected. I wish I had known that Mandy had been waiting for exactly this moment. The second his plane took off, she made her move. And she didn't come alone. The ban meant nothing when she had a key to my house and 30 guests waiting inside as witnesses. What she did while Barry was gone? I still have nightmares about it. The next few days were the calmest I'd felt since the announcement. Barry worked from home when he could and screened every call from his family. No surprise visits, no passive-aggressive texts, just me and my husband preparing for our baby in peace. I painted the nursery a soft yellow because we wanted to be surprised by the gender. I organized tiny onesies in the dresser drawers and cried happy tears at how small they were. I downloaded apps that told me my baby was the size of a lemon, and then an avocado, and then a bell pepper. Normal pregnant woman things. Safe things. Then Barry told me about the work trip. 3 days in Chicago for a conference he'd been planning for months. He offered to cancel, but I told him to go. I couldn't let Mandy turn me into someone who needed her husband within arm's reach at all times just to function. I'll be fine, I promised him. She doesn't know where I am every second of the day, and she's banned from seeing me. What's she going to do? He kissed me goodbye at the airport, and I drove home feeling almost normal. Almost brave. Almost like myself again. That feeling lasted exactly 4 hours. I'd gone to the grocery store to stock up on things for the week. Healthy stuff. Vegetables and lean proteins and all the things the pregnancy book said I should be eating. I was thinking about what to make for dinner when I pulled into my driveway and saw the cars. 6 of them. Lining the street in front of my house like there was a party happening. My first thought was that something was wrong. That there'd been an emergency and people had come to help. I grabbed my grocery bags and hurried to the front door, and when I opened it, I walked into my worst nightmare. There were at least 30 women in my living room. Strangers. Women I'd never seen before in my life. They were holding champagne glasses and wearing nice dresses, and there were pink and blue balloons everywhere, and a banner that said baby shower hanging across my fireplace. And standing in the middle of it all, arms spread wide like she was welcoming me to my own home, was Mandy. "Surprise!" she screamed. The whole room erupted in cheers and applause. I stood frozen in my doorway with grocery bags cutting into my fingers and my brain refusing to process what I was seeing. "What the hell is this?" I managed to say. A few women near the front exchanged uncomfortable glances. Mandy's smile didn't falter. "It's your baby shower, silly. I know we've had our differences, but I wanted to do something special for my future niece or nephew. Family is family, right?" She walked toward me and took the grocery bags from my hands before I could react. "Come sit down. We have games planned and gifts and everything. I've been organizing this for weeks." Weeks. She'd been planning this for weeks. While Barry was setting boundaries and banning her from contact, she was collecting phone numbers and buying decorations and waiting for the exact moment he'd be gone. "I don't want this," I said. My voice came out weak and shaky. "I didn't ask for this. You need to get these people out of my house." "Don't be rude," Mandy said, and her voice had that sweet poison edge to it. "These women took time out of their busy schedules to celebrate you. The least you can do is be grateful." An older woman I didn't recognize stepped forward and put her hand on my arm. "Honey, maybe just sit down for a minute. You look overwhelmed. It's a lot to take in, but we're all here because we care." I looked around the room at all these faces I didn't know. Some of them looked excited. Some of them looked uncomfortable. A few were whispering to each other and glancing between me and Mandy like they could sense something was wrong but didn't know what. "Who are these people?" I asked Mandy. "Friends of the family, Mom's book club. Some of my coworkers, people who wanted to welcome your baby into the world." She guided me toward a chair that had been decorated with ribbons and sat me down like I was a child. "Now let's open presents." Everyone's been so generous. The next hour was torture. Mandy handed me gift after gift and made me open each one in front of everyone while she narrated. "Oh, look at that adorable onesie. What size is it? Newborn? That's so precious." The onesie was size 2T. Way too big for a newborn. Completely useless for at least 2 years. "And this blanket. Feel how soft that is, Prue. Isn't it beautiful?" The blanket had a stain on it. A yellow stain right in the corner that looked like it had been washed but not well enough. It was used. She'd given me a used blanket with someone else's baby's spit up still on it. These bottles are top of the line. I did so much research to find the best ones. The bottles were a brand that had been recalled 6 months ago. I'd read about it in one of my pregnancy forums. They weren't safe. Every single gift was wrong. Wrong sizes, wrong items, used things disguised as new. Dangerous products she had to have known were problematic. And I had to sit there and smile and say thank you while 30 women watched and Mandy documented every second of my humiliation. You seem upset, Mandy said loudly enough for everyone to hear. Is something wrong with the gifts? I worked so hard on this. They're lovely, I forced out. I'm just tired. She's always tired, Mandy said to the room, shaking her head with fake concern. Barry's mentioned it to me. How exhausted she is all the time. How emotional. I worry about her, honestly. A woman in a blue dress leaned forward. Pregnancy exhaustion is completely normal. I slept 14 hours a day during my first trimester. Oh, I know, Mandy said. But this is different. This is more like instability. Barry doesn't like to talk about it, but she's been having episodes. Mood swings, paranoid thoughts. She accused me of trying to steal her baby at a doctor's appointment. Can you believe that? The room went quiet. I felt my face burning. That's not what happened, I said. She showed up uninvited and told the nurse she was the real mother. Mandy laughed. See what I mean? She genuinely believes that's what happened. It's so sad. Barry and I have been talking about whether she should see someone. A professional. Someone who can help her before the baby comes. You're lying, I said, and my voice cracked. Barry banned you from seeing me. He knows exactly what you've been doing. Sweetie? Mandy crouched down in front of my chair and took my hands. Her grip was too tight. Her eyes were ice cold even though her voice dripped with fake sympathy. Barry asked me to throw this shower. He's worried about you being isolated. He thought surrounding you with support might help with your mental state. That's not true. That's not true, and you know it. I yanked my hands away and stood up so fast the ribbon-covered chair fell backwards. Get out of my house. All of you. Get out right now. The room erupted in whispers. Women started gathering their purses and looking at each other with wide eyes. Some of them looked scared. Some of them looked embarrassed. A few looked at me with something that might have been pity or might have been judgment. See? Mandy said to the crowd. Her voice was sad and concerned and completely fake. This is what I was talking about. She can't handle normal social situations anymore. The stress of the pregnancy is breaking her down. Shut up, I screamed. Actual screamed. Loud enough that several women flinched. Shut up, shut up, shut up. You broke into my house. You invited strangers into my home without my permission. You gave me used garbage and recalled products, and you're standing here telling everyone I'm crazy? Tears were streaming down my face now. I couldn't stop them. I was shaking so hard I could barely stand. You told a nurse you were my baby's real mother. You hit me in the stomach at a restaurant. You have spent months trying to destroy my life because you're jealous that I got pregnant first and you didn't. Mandy's mask slipped for just a second. That cold fury flashed across her face before she covered it back up. You're having an episode, she said calmly. Everyone can see it. You're proving my point right now. Get out! I grabbed the nearest gift box and threw it at her. She ducked and it hit the wall behind her. Get out of my house. Women were rushing for the door now. I heard someone mutter, "This is insane." And someone else whisper, "I told you something was off." A woman with gray hair stopped next to me on her way out. Honey, she said quietly, I don't know what's really going on here, but you might want to call someone. Your husband, maybe. Or a friend. You shouldn't be alone right now. She pressed a tissue into my hand, and then she was gone. Within minutes, the house was empty except for me and Mandy. She stood in the middle of my living room, surrounded by wrapping paper and fallen balloons, and she smiled at me. A real smile this time. The smile of someone who got exactly what they wanted. That went well, she said. 30 witnesses just watched you have a complete mental breakdown. Screaming, throwing things, crying uncontrollably, and I have the whole thing on video. She held up her phone. Barry's going to be so concerned when I show him. Get out, I whispered. I didn't have any fight left. I'm going, but Prue? She walked toward the door and paused with her hand on the frame. This is just the beginning. By the time I'm done, everyone will know you're not fit to be a mother. And when they take that baby away from you, I'll be right there waiting to give it a real home. She left. I collapsed onto my couch surrounded by the wreckage of her fake party and sobbed until I couldn't breathe. I called Barry, but it went straight to voicemail. I texted him, "Call me now, please." And then I sat there staring at my phone waiting for it to ring. 3 hours later, he finally called back. I told him everything through hiccups and tears, the shower, the guests, the gifts, the speech about my mental instability, the video, the threat. When I finished, there was silence on the other end of the line. Then Barry said 2 words that told me everything I needed to know about where we stood. I'm coming home. Mandy publicly humiliated me in my own home, painted me as mentally unstable in front of 30 people I'd never met. Barry was furious when he got back and gave her the talk of her life. But I was exhausted, pregnant, tired of fighting a war I never asked for. Then she texted asking to come apologize in person. She was bringing a peace offering. I should have known better. Silence from someone like Mandy isn't surrender. It's strategy. That apology cost me everything. Barry walked through the door at midnight looking like he hadn't slept the entire flight home. I was waiting on the couch where I'd been sitting for hours, unable to do anything but stare at the wall and replay the baby shower nightmare in my head. He dropped his suitcase by the door and crossed the room and pulled me into his arms without saying a word. We stayed like that for a long time. I'm calling her tomorrow, he finally said into my hair. I'm telling her to come over here and we're ending this once and for all. Barry, I don't want to see her. I can't. You won't have to. I want you to stay upstairs. But she needs to hear it from me, face to face. She needs to understand that this is over. I pulled back and looked at him. His jaw was set. His eyes were hard. This wasn't the easygoing guy I'd married. This was someone who'd been pushed past his limit. Okay, I said. Okay. He called her the next morning. I only heard his side of the conversation, but it was enough. Come to the house at noon. We need to talk. No, Mom can't come. Just you. Be here or don't. But this is your last chance to hear what I have to say. He hung up and looked at me. She'll be here. At 12, I went upstairs like we'd planned. I sat at the top of the stairs where she couldn't see me, but I could hear everything that happened in the living room below. My hands wouldn't stop shaking. At exactly noon, the doorbell rang. Barry answered it, and I heard Mandy's voice, already defensive. What's so important that you had to drag me over here? I have things to do, Barry. I have a life. Sit down. I don't want to sit down. Just say whatever you're going to say so I can leave. Sit down. A pause. Then the sound of someone dropping onto the couch. Fine, I'm sitting. Happy now? No, I'm not happy. I haven't been happy since you decided to make my wife's pregnancy a living hell. Oh, here we go. Everything's always about precious Prue. Poor Prue. Innocent Prue. Do you even hear yourself anymore? I hear myself just fine. What I'm trying to figure out is if you can hear yourself. Do you have any idea what you've done? Any idea at all? I threw her a baby shower. That's what I did. I tried to do something nice and she had a complete meltdown in front of everyone. You broke into our house. Barry's voice exploded so loud I flinched at the top of the stairs. You invited 30 strangers into our home without permission. You gave her used garbage and told everyone she was mentally unstable. You recorded her crying and threatened to use it against her. I didn't break in. Mom gave me the key. Mom had no right to give you shit. This is our home, Mandy. Prue's home. And you violated it. There was a crash. Something breaking. Glass, maybe. You want to talk about violation? Mandy screamed back. You want to talk about what's been violated? How about my entire fucking life, Barry? How about watching this bitch waltz into our family and get pregnant on her first try while I've been suffering for 3 years? My whole body went cold. She'd called me a bitch. In my own house. To my husband's face. Don't call her that, Barry said. And his voice had gone dangerously quiet. I'll call her whatever I want. She stole everything from me. She stole my spot in this family. I was supposed to give Mom and Dad their first grandchild. That was supposed to be mine. And she just took it like it was nothing. Babies aren't prizes, Mandy. They're not trophies you win for being first. Easy for you to say. You got everything handed to you. The perfect wife, the perfect pregnancy, the perfect little life while I'm stuck alone watching everyone get what I deserve. What you deserve? You deserve to be in jail. You hit my pregnant wife in the stomach at Dad's birthday dinner. You tried to claim our baby as yours at a medical appointment. The only reason you're not sitting in a cell right now is because Prue begged me not to press charges. Silence. Then Mandy's voice came back smaller, colder. She begged you. Yes. Because unlike you, she actually cares about keeping this family together. She didn't want to be the reason you went to prison even after everything you've done to her. How noble. The sarcasm was thick enough to choke on. It is noble. It's more than you deserve. And it's the last chance you're ever going to get. I heard footsteps. Barry moving toward the door. Stay away from my wife. Stay away from my house. Stay away from my baby. If I see you anywhere near us again, I'm calling the police and pressing every charge I can think of. Assault, breaking and entering, harassment, all of it. You can't do this to me. Mandy's voice cracked. You can't just cut me out. I'm your sister Barry. I'm your blood. You can't throw away 30 years for some woman who... Get out. Barry, please just listen to me. Get the fuck out of my house. Now. The front door slammed. I heard Mandy's car start in the driveway. Heard the tires screech as she tore away. Then silence. Barry appeared at the bottom of the stairs and looked up at me. His hands were trembling. His face was flushed, but his eyes were wet. You heard everything, he said. Yeah. He climbed the stairs and sat down next to me. Neither of us spoke for a long moment. I was still processing everything I'd heard. The hatred in her voice. The way she'd called me a bitch like it was my name. The complete lack of remorse for anything she'd done. I'm sorry, Barry finally said. I'm sorry she said those things. She really hates me. My voice came out barely above a whisper. She hates that you have what she wants. That's not the same thing. He put his arm around me and I leaned into him. I meant what I said down there. If she comes near you again, I'm done protecting her. I don't care if she's my sister. I don't care if my parents never speak to me again. You and this baby are everything to me. Everything. The tears came then. I couldn't stop them. Barry held me on the stairs while I sobbed into his chest. What if she never stops? I asked when I could finally breathe again. What if this is just our life now? Always looking over our shoulders? Always waiting for her to do something worse? Then we move. He said it like it was the most obvious thing in the world. We sell this house and move somewhere she can't find us. We start completely over. You'd really do that? Leave your parents? Your whole life here? Prue. He pulled back and held my face in his hands. You are my life. You and this baby. Everyone else is just background noise. If leaving is what it takes to keep you safe, I'll pack the car tonight. I wanted to believe we could just disappear. Start fresh in some city where nobody knew us. Where Mandy was just a bad memory that faded more every year. But I knew people like her didn't let go that easily. They just found new ways to attack. We tried to move on anyway. Barry worked from home for the next 2 weeks, and we fell into something that almost felt normal. He came to every doctor's appointment. He screened every call and deleted every text from his family without reading them. He made sure I was never alone. 2 weeks of peace. 2 weeks of pretending Mandy didn't exist. Then she texted him. I've had time to think. I was wrong about everything. Can we please talk? Barry showed me the message without comment. I stared at those words for a long time, looking for the trap I knew had to be hiding in them somewhere. What do you want to do? He asked. I don't know. What do you think? Honestly, I don't trust her. Not even a little bit. He paused. But she's still my sister. And if there's any chance she's actually sorry, actually willing to change. He shook his head. I don't know. She hurt you, so this is your call. Whatever you decide, I'm behind you completely. I thought about it. The exhaustion of being constantly on guard. The stress of wondering when she'd strike again. The fantasy of having a normal sister-in-law who could come to holidays without trying to destroy me. And my husband wouldn't have to leave his entire family behind for my sake. If we do this, I said slowly, you're here the entire time. She doesn't get 1 second alone with me. Obviously. And if she does anything wrong, anything, she's gone forever. No more chances. No more discussions. Agreed. He squeezed my hand. But Prue, if you want to tell her no, if you never want to see her face again, I will send that text right now and never look back. This is completely your decision. I should have said no. I should have listened to every instinct screaming that this was a mistake. But I was so tired of being afraid. So tired of waiting for the next attack. And some stupid, hopeful part of me actually believed that maybe she'd finally seen how insane she'd been acting. Tell her she can come tomorrow, I said. But she better mean it. Mandy arrived the next afternoon looking like a completely different person. No designer clothes, no perfect makeup, just jeans and a wrinkled sweater with her hair pulled back in a messy ponytail. She looked exhausted, human, almost fragile, and she started crying before I finished opening the door. I'm so sorry, she choked out. I'm so sorry for everything. I don't know what's wrong with me. I've been seeing a therapist and she helped me understand how messed up I've been and I'm so ashamed, Prue. I'm so ashamed. She held out a gift bag with trembling hands. I brought you something. Real gifts this time. And some herbal tea that's supposed to help with pregnancy stress. I know it doesn't fix anything, but I wanted you to know I'm trying. I looked at Barry. He gave me a small shrug. This was my call. I stepped aside and let her in. He gave me a small shrug. This was my call. I stepped aside and let her in. We sat in the living room and Mandy started talking. Really talking. Not the defensive screaming from before. Not the fake sweetness she used when she was manipulating people. This was something different. Something raw. I've had 4 miscarriages, she said quietly. 4. The first one was at 8 weeks. And I didn't even know I was pregnant yet when I started bleeding. The doctor said it happens all the time. 1 in 4 pregnancies. Like that was supposed to make me feel better. I didn't know what to say. I had no idea she'd been through that. The second one I made it to 12 weeks. I'd already told everyone. I'd already bought clothes. And then one morning I woke up and there was just blood everywhere. My husband Drew drove me to the hospital and they did an ultrasound and the doctor looked at the screen and I knew. I knew before she even said anything. Her voice cracked. She wiped her eyes with the back of her hand. The 3rd and 4th were back to back. 6 weeks. Then 7 weeks. My body just kept rejecting them. Like I was broken. Like I wasn't meant to be a mother no matter how hard I tried. Mandy, I said softly. I had no idea. Why didn't you tell us? Because I was ashamed. Because every time someone asked when Drew and I were going to have kids, I wanted to scream. Because watching you and Barry be so happy made me want to die. She looked at me and her eyes were red and swollen. Drew blamed me. He never said it out loud, but I could see it. Every time I lost another baby, he pulled further away. We haven't slept in the same bed in a year. He barely looks at me anymore. And then you announced your pregnancy and something inside me just snapped. I'm so sorry, I said. And I meant it. I'm so sorry you went through all of that alone. I wish you had told us. We would have been there for you. Every step of the way. Every appointment. Every loss. You didn't have to carry that by yourself. I know that now. She laughed bitterly. My therapist has been helping me see how much I pushed everyone away. How I turned my pain into anger and aimed it at the easiest target. You didn't do anything wrong, Prue. You just existed. And I hated you for it because hating you was easier than hating myself. I took her hand. It felt strange after everything she'd done, but it also felt right. We're family, I said. That's supposed to mean something. Let's start over. Really start over. I want my baby to have an aunt who loves them. I want us to be close. Mandy squeezed my hand and fresh tears spilled down her cheeks. I want that too. More than anything. Then let's make it happen. She hugged me then. A real hug. The kind you give someone when you actually mean it. And for the first time since that announcement dinner, I let myself believe that maybe everything was going to be okay. Let me make you some tea, she said when she pulled back, wiping her face. I brought this special blend. Chamomile and herbs. It's supposed to be really calming. Good for pregnancy stress. She went to the kitchen and I heard her filling the kettle, humming softly to herself. Barry caught my eye and raised an eyebrow. I smiled back at him. Maybe she really had changed. Maybe people could surprise you. Mandy returned with 2 cups and handed one to me. The tea smelled sweet and floral with something minty underneath. It's all natural, she said. Safe for the baby. I made sure. I took a sip. A little bitter, but most herbal teas were. We talked while I drank. About the nursery. About names we were considering. About whether we wanted to find out the gender or be surprised. I think you should find out, Mandy said. That way you can plan better. Buy the right colors. Pick the perfect name. Barry wants it to be a surprise. He's old-fashioned that way. That's sweet. She smiled at him. You two are going to be amazing parents. The words hit me somewhere deep. Coming from her, after everything, they meant more than I expected. We talked for another hour. About our childhoods. Memories I'd forgotten and ones she'd never shared. She told me about the time she broke her arm falling off a swing and Barry carried her all the way home. He blushed and said he'd forgotten about that. She told me about their dad teaching them to fish and how she'd cried when she caught her first one because she felt bad for hurting it. Normal family stories. The kind you share with people you trust. When I finished my tea, we moved to the nursery so I could show her the yellow walls and the crib Barry had assembled wrong 3 times before getting it right. She ran her hand along the railing and smiled. It's beautiful, she said. This baby is so lucky. Then my stomach cramped. It was sharp and sudden, like something tearing inside me. I gasped and grabbed my belly. Mandy and Barry both turned to look at me. Prue? Barry's voice was tight. What's wrong? I don't know. It hurts. Another cramp. Worse. So much worse. My entire midsection felt like it was being crushed from the inside out. I doubled over and grabbed the edge of the crib to keep from falling. Something's wrong, I gasped. Something's really wrong. Then I felt it. Warmth spreading between my legs. I looked down and saw red blooming across my dress, soaking through the fabric, dripping onto the floor of the nursery we'd painted yellow because we wanted our baby to feel like sunshine. No. The word came out broken. No, 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 no. I sank to the ground. The cramps were coming faster now. Waves of pain that made it impossible to think. Blood was pooling beneath me. So much blood. More than I'd ever seen in my life. Barry! I screamed. Call 911! The baby! Something's wrong with the baby! He was already running for his phone. I could hear him shouting our address, his voice cracking with panic. But his words sounded far away. Everything sounded far away, like I was underwater and couldn't stop myself from drowning. The pain hit again and I screamed so hard my throat hurt. This animal sound that didn't even sound like me escaped my throat. Mandy was kneeling beside me. Her hands were on my shoulders. Her voice was soft and calm. Shh. It's okay. Just breathe. Everything's going to be fine. But I didn't believe that for a second. I was bleeding on the floor of my baby's nursery while Barry screamed our address into the phone. The ambulance couldn't get there fast enough. Every second felt like an hour. Every cramp felt like my body was being ripped apart from the inside. And through all of it, through the sirens and the stretcher and the rush to the hospital, one thought kept circling in my head. Mandy had been calm. Too calm. Like she already knew exactly what was happening to me. The ambulance ride was a blur of pain and lights and voices I couldn't understand. Paramedics kept asking me questions. How far along are you? When did the bleeding start? Have you taken anything today? I couldn't answer. I could only grip Barry's hand and whisper, "Save my baby," over and over like a prayer. Part of me thought that if I said it enough times, God would have to listen. Barry rode with me. He never let go of my hand. His face was gray and his eyes were red and he kept telling me it was going to be okay. But his voice shook so badly I knew he was lying. We both knew something terrible was happening and neither of us could stop it. At the hospital, they rushed me through bright hallways into a room full of machines and people in scrubs. Someone put an IV in my arm. Someone else strapped monitors to my belly. A doctor appeared with an ultrasound wand and pressed it against my stomach and stared at the screen. I watched her face. I watched her eyes move across the screen. I watched her adjust the wand. Press harder. Move it to a different angle. She wasn't saying anything. Why wasn't she saying anything? Is everything okay? Barry asked. His voice cracked on the last word. The doctor didn't answer. She just kept moving the wand around, pressing buttons on the machine, staring at that screen like she was looking for something she couldn't find. Then she set down the wand. She pulled a chair close to the bed and sat down. She took my free hand in both of hers. And I knew. Before she opened her mouth, I knew what she was going to say. "I'm so sorry," she said quietly. "There's no heartbeat." The words hit me like a truck. No heartbeat. But there had been a heartbeat. I'd heard it 2 weeks ago at my last appointment. That fast little whooshing sound that filled the room like music. The sound that made Barry cry the first time he heard it. The sound that meant our baby was real and alive and waiting to meet us. "No," I said. "No. Check again. Please. You have to check again. Maybe you're looking in the wrong spot. Maybe the machine is broken. Please just check again. Sweetheart." The doctor squeezed my hand. I checked 3 different times. There's no heartbeat. Your baby has passed. Your baby has passed. Such gentle words for the worst thing anyone had ever said to me. Your baby has passed. As if she just went on a trip or stepped out for a moment and would be right back. No. I was shaking my head. I couldn't stop shaking my head. This isn't happening. This isn't real. Wake me up. Please. Please wake me up. Barry choked back a sob and grabbed my hand with both of his and pressed it to his forehead, and I felt his tears dripping onto my fingers. "I'm sorry," he kept saying. "I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry." I didn't understand why he was apologizing. This wasn't his fault. This was my fault. But I didn't even know how this happened. Why did I suddenly start bleeding like that? I had been so careful and ate right and did everything right. Why did I lose my baby? The next several hours destroyed me in ways I didn't know a person could be destroyed. They told me I had to deliver. I had to go through labor. I had to push. I had to do everything a mother does to bring a child into the world, except at the end there would be no crying. No first breath. No tiny hand wrapping around my finger. I screamed through the contractions. Not just from pain, but from the unfairness of it. Every wave that ripped through my body was supposed to bring me closer to meeting my baby. Instead, each one just reminded me that I was pushing out death. Barry held my hand through every contraction. He wiped my face when I was drenched in sweat. He told me he loved me even when I couldn't say it back because I couldn't say anything. I was somewhere else. Floating above my own body. Watching this nightmare happen to someone who used to be me. When it was over, a nurse wrapped my baby in a soft white blanket. She asked if I wanted to hold her. Her. I had a daughter. A daughter I would never get to raise. She was so small. So impossibly small. I could hold her entire body in my 2 hands. She had 10 perfect fingers and 10 perfect toes, and a face that looked like Barry's. A face that would never smile at me. Never laugh at my jokes. Never call me mama. Never grow up to be whoever she was supposed to be. I held her for hours. I couldn't let go. Barry sat beside me with his arm around my shoulders and we just existed in that horrible space together. 2 parents holding their dead child in a hospital room that was too bright and too cold and too real. Then the doctor returned. She had a clipboard and a serious expression. "Mrs. Dalton, I need to ask you some questions. Your blood work came back and we found something. Poison." The word hung in the air. Poison. "That's not possible," I said. "I didn't take anything." "I need you to think carefully. What did you eat or drink in the last 24 hours? I tried to focus. Tried to remember anything before the blood and the pain and the ambulance. Breakfast, eggs and toast, water, some crackers later, tea. Anything else? Anything at all? No, nothing unusual, just normal stuff. Tell me about the tea. It was herbal, for stress. My sister-in-law made it for me. Barry's whole body went stiff. I felt him stop breathing next to me. The doctor wrote something down. Your sister-in-law made the tea. Was she with you when you drank it? Yes. We were talking in the nursery. She brought it as a gift. And she made it in your kitchen? Yes. The doctor looked at Barry. I think we need to speak with your sister. Barry was already on his feet. His hands were shaking. His jaw was clenched so tight I could see the muscles jumping. I'll call her. 20 minutes later, Mandy walked into the hospital room. Her eyes were red like she'd been crying. She rushed toward the bed with her arms open. Oh my God, Prue, I'm so sorry. I've been worried sick. Is everything okay? Is the baby... Stop. Barry stepped between her and the bed. Don't come any closer. Mandy froze. Barry, what's wrong? What's going on? The doctor stepped forward. Ma'am, I need to ask you some questions about the tea you made for Mrs. Dalton yesterday. The tea? Mandy blinked. What about it? What did you put in it? Chamomile, lavender, honey. It was just a relaxation blend. I bought it at the store. We found poison in her blood work, something that caused her to miscarry. Mandy's face went white. What? No, that's not possible. I didn't put anything in that tea. It was just herbs. I was trying to help her relax. Then how do you explain the toxins we found? I can't explain it because I didn't do anything. Mandy's voice went high and shaky. I came over to apologize, to make things right. Why would I hurt her? She's my sister-in-law. I was there for her. Barry stepped closer to his sister. You've hated her since the day we announced the pregnancy. That doesn't mean I would poison her. You ambushed her with that fake baby shower. You hit her in the stomach at Dad's birthday. You've been trying to destroy her for months. I apologized for all of that. That's why I came over, to make amends. The doctor cut in. Ma'am, we're going to need to run tests on anything remaining from that tea, and we'll need you to stay here while we contact the police. The police? Mandy backed up a step. No, you can't call the police. I didn't do anything wrong. This is insane. You're all treating me like a criminal when I was just trying to be nice. You were trying to be nice. I spoke for the first time. My voice came out hollow and dead. After telling me I stole something from you, suddenly you wanted to be nice. I was trying to change. I told you about the miscarriages. I told you about Drew. I opened up to you. Doesn't that count for anything? You opened up to me while I was drinking poison you put in my tea. I didn't poison you. Why won't anyone believe me? Barry grabbed her arm. Because we know you, Mandy. We know exactly who you are and what you're capable of. Let go of me. You called our baby. I didn't call anyone. Then explain the poison. Explain how it got into her system. Explain why the only thing she consumed that wasn't from our own kitchen was the tea you made. Mandy tried to pull away, but Barry held tight. Her face was red now, tears streaming down her cheeks, snot running from her nose. She looked wild, desperate, cornered. This isn't fair, she screamed. You're all ganging up on me. I made 1 cup of tea. 1 cup. And suddenly I'm a murderer? Just tell us the truth, the doctor said calmly. Whatever happened, we need to know. I already told you the truth. Mandy. Barry's voice dropped low. Dangerous. I will never speak to you again. I will never look at you again. You will be dead to me for the rest of your life. Unless you tell me right now what you did to my wife. Something cracked. I saw it happen. Saw the moment Mandy stopped trying to hold it together. Saw her face twist into something ugly and raw and honest. Fuck off. She yanked her arm free from Barry's grip. You think I wanted to make amends? She laughed, but it sounded like breaking glass. You think I drove over there to be her friend? To talk about baby names and look at the nursery and pretend I was happy for you? The room went silent. Of course I did it. Of course I killed your fucking baby. She was pacing now, back and forth, hands pulling at her hair, eyes wild and unfocused. She was pacing now, back and forth, hands pulling at her hair, eyes wild and unfocused. I've been trying to have a baby for 3 years. 3 years of shots and pills and procedures that made me sick. 3 years of watching the blood come every single time. 4 babies I lost. 4. And nobody cared. Nobody threw me a shower. Nobody came to my house with flowers. I suffered alone while everyone else got to be happy. She pointed at me, her finger shaking. And then you come along. You get pregnant by accident. By accident. Like it was nothing. As if it was easy. God just handed you a baby because you're so fucking special. Mandy, stop, Barry said. His voice was shaking. No. You wanted the truth, so here it is. You don't get to be a mother before me. That's not how this works. I've been waiting longer. I've suffered more. I deserve it more. Not you. Me. She moved toward the bed. Toward me. Toward the tiny bundle still in my arms. I'm glad your baby's dead. The words came out sharp and cruel. I'm glad I did it. You don't deserve to be a mother. You never did. And now you know what it feels like. Now you know what I've been living with for 3 years. Welcome to my world, Prue. Security burst through the door. 2 officers behind them. Someone must have called while she was ranting. They grabbed her arms and she fought, screaming, kicking, thrashing like an animal caught in a trap. Get off me. She deserved it. She stole my life. Barry, tell them. Tell them what she did to me. Barry didn't move or speak. Just stood there with tears running down his face watching his sister get dragged away in handcuffs. The door slammed shut behind them. The room went quiet except for the monitors beeping and the sound of Barry crying and the echo of her words still ringing in my ears. I'm glad your baby's dead. I looked down at my daughter, at her perfect tiny face, at the life that had been stolen from us by someone who was supposed to be family. And I understood something I would carry for the rest of my life. Some people are broken in ways that can't be fixed. Some wounds turn into weapons. And some monsters look exactly like the people you're supposed to trust.